switch variables during events in the game. You can change the graphics by double clicking the graphics icon. Basically, you could change what the event looks like in game. So let's just say if I wanted to use actor 2, what's going to happen is this very square here is now what this event's going to look like. But I don't need that, so I'm going to turn it to none. Alright, that's basically what that does. Autonomous movement, type fixed, random approach, or custom. Autonomous movement means the event activates and it'll start moving depending on how you do it. Fixed means it will not move, it's static, it just stays where it's at, you know, it's not going to move. Random, it's the character or the graphic or the event itself will start moving in random places, no predetermined path. Approach means when your character is close, the event will slowly approach the character. Custom means you set your own movement route. Yes, you can set your own movement routes. I'll leave you to figure this out because these are certain things that... Okay, maybe I might have to explain some of these last ones here. These are definitely tutorial worthy. But we're going to leave it to fixed. Speed, 8 times slower, 4 times slower, 2 times slower, normal, 2 times faster, and 4 times faster. That's how fast event moves. Normal is character movement, your own character movement. So same speed as your character will move. 2 times slower is half the speed of what your character does. 4 is a fourth of the speed, and then eighth of the speed. You know, all that jazz. Frequency. Frequency was better explained in other games, other RPG makers. Frequency basically means priority on the map. Let's just say normal, it's on the same level as the character. So the character cannot go into the object, and the object cannot go into the character. Low means that the character is one lower than, the event is one lower than the character. So actually the character is going to be above that event. Lowest means it's 2 lower than the character, so an event can be higher by 1 in low instead of lowest. So it's 2 lower than the character. High means it's 1 higher, it means the event will be above the character. Highest means it's 2 above the character. That's how that works. You can also have options. Walking animation, if you set a character as your graphic for this, it will show a walking animation via in-game. Step animation. It will show step animation in-game. If you have that checked. Direction fixed. It'll be completely static. It will not change direction. It's completely stuck in that particular direction you set in graphic. Passage. You can only walk to it while in facing direction. Never used that term while I was doing that. I don't know, does that make me a bad person? Wait, frequency, priority, frequency, priority, frequency. Remember when I explained frequency? I think I totally did that wrong. Yeah. Okay, priority is what I was referring to. Under characters, same as characters, above characters. Maybe I was explaining that wrong. Frequency. Oh, yes. Yes. Frequency. It's how often the character will move via random or something like of that nature. So like if I change it to random, it will go really fast if I put it in highest and really slow on lowest. I'm sorry, I totally don't know what I'm talking about. There you go, now you know. Trigger. Basically what happens under this menu is player contact. When a player touches said event, it will activate. Event contact. If an event touches said events, it will activate. Auto runs means once the character is inside this particular map, it will run. Parallel process. If you have this checked, it will not run by any other process unless it was activated by another event. So like say another event activates variable 0001 and this event requires 0001, then that event will run at the same time as that event, therefore creating a parallel process at the same time. So an action button means in game you physically have to press your talk button or interact button to make this event run. So with that explained, under the list of event commands, you're going to find these three little tabs. I'm not going to get into in depth with some of these. So let's just start with some of the basics so I can give you some examples on how this works. Display text. Clicking this means the moment when you activate with the event, it's going to show some text. So I was going to do hello world and question mark exclamation mark. What you're going to see here is face graphic. You can change the graphic of the character that talks. You know, pretty self-explanatory. Normal window, you can change what it looks like. Normal means the normal look. A dim is going to have like a black background, but it's transparent. Transparent means there's no border. Display position, you can have it on the top of the screen, the middle of the screen, or down of the screen. You can actually preview what it looks like. This is what it would look like in game. Great for you to see what it looks like because, see these two arrows here? If you have a face graphic, then this first arrow here where my mouse is pointing at is where your text can go. So like if I went, you know, put blah blah blah, just about to here is how much you can put before it gets clipped by the text box limits. Like so. However, I do not have a face graphic, so what happens is the second arrow here is the limit of how far you can go before it gets clipped. For an example, what happens when it clips, this is what will happen. So if I backed up with the G slice, that's as far as it will go, and it will show up entirely. Let's get rid of those G's. And that is what happens. Instead of me clicking the action button, I want to do player contact. So let me set trigger to player contact. I want to keep the priority under my character so it doesn't clip into the character if I did have a graphic for it, which I do not. And I want to have a fixed autonomous movement because I don't want it moving, so it's going to stay there. I want to also have a string. Hello world. Hello world dot dot dot. So we can show an example of how string text works if you put it in the list of event commands. Now remember when I told you about self switches? I'm sure you're a tad bit confused. So how about I just put an example of how self switches work? Self switch A is activated. If I click new event page, it'll create another event page following up after 1. 1 is what will always defaultly activate when the event works, unless event page number 2 has switches that are required to activate. That's how that works. So I'm just gonna put YOLO, you only live once, homie, and I'm gonna start up the game. So let's just save changes to project 1. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna come over to the see this top little ledge next to the fence. That's where the event is. I'm only gonna press right on the trigger, and that's all I'm gonna do. And it should activate. It should. What? Player contact. Oh, self switch A. Derp. All right. Run. Wait a minute. Did that run page number 2 instead of 1? Did they switch that? Okay, so I take back what I said on priority of how pages work. I think it might be whatever page shows up in that order, but it doesn't really matter because when you're doing this event thing, you're going to be paying attention to that kind of stuff. Hello world, and then string text. It follows straight up afterwards. And then if you back out and player touch and activate, it says yellow. And that's how that works. I know I shouldn't end the tutorial off on that, so let's work on something else. So on messages, you're gonna have choices. So we're looking at this